Sometimes the bull isn't what the adjuster says, it's what they don't say. Insurance adjusters are supposed to notify you of every coverage available to you when you have a claim. If they don't tell you about one of the coverages that is available to you, it's technically an act of bad faith. Sometimes what they don't say can have extreme consequences. Let's talk about additional living expenses. I had an insurance claim. I'm not going to say names. It's really a sad thing. The insured got hit by a hurricane, and insulation from his attic ended up in his house. And it was a blown-in pink insulation, little fiberglass hairs all over the place. He already had some respiratory issues, and this really exacerbated it. When the adjuster came by, he agreed to make some repairs to the structure. What he didn't do was tell my insured about the additional living expenses benefits that his policy provides. Insurance policies will put you into a different location in order to maintain your standard of living. Each policy has slightly different wording on it, but if you can no longer live in your home because of the loss, then they will pay to put you somewhere else with the same general standard of living that you had. If you're living in a house, you're in a house. You had furniture, you got furniture. You can cook, you can cook. They might not tell you about those benefits, and sometimes you might even have a kitchen that is gone. You can't cook in the house, and they say, oh, they can still live in it. It's not condemned, whatever it is they might say. For this insured, they didn't tell him that he had additional living expense benefits. He thought he had to stay there because he didn't have the money to go anywhere else. He ended up going to a neighbor's house because he couldn't breathe. Every time he was home, he ended up getting so bad that he'd end up in the hospital. So he stayed at a neighbor's house. The neighbor couldn't keep them indefinitely. He ended up coming back home one day, ended up in the hospital again. He never came home again. If the carrier had told him that he had additional living expense benefits, we might have a different story to tell. This is bull. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of this insured. Unfortunately, this isn't the only one with a similar story that I've come across in the last 2 years. Insurance companies need to start telling you when you have the proper coverages so that you can be safe somewhere else, maintain your standard of living, and breathe normally. Additional living expenses are in everybody's policy. It's written a little bit differently, but it's there. If you have a loss and you cannot live in your property the same way as you did before, then that's when that kicks in. And there's a certain amount of time that you get those benefits for. They should tell you about it. If you have an insurance claim, get a public adjuster involved so that all of those benefits are read through and explained to you properly. Don't trust that your carrier is going to tell you everything. It's not in their best interests. Let us deal with the bull.